the parched heart of the Sarago Desert, rumor persisted of a place known to the few souls rugged enough to call these wastelands home. They spoke of the Oasis of Bones, a cursed place, wrapped in countless tales of supernatural horror and inexplicable dread. To stumble upon it was to uncover the desert's morbid secret, a clinging doom from which no traveler returned. Marcie Gordon, an anthropologist with a penchant for the stories hidden in the world's most untouched regions, couldn't resist the lure. The rumors reached her through a scribbled note in a traveler's diary from the 1800s, which spoke of a lush oasis teeming with life amidst a land devoid of it, but cursed with the presence of human bones littering its banks, appearing to be far too many to just be remnants from passerby. Marcie had always been fascinated by legends of cursed places. This seemed like a perfect mystery for her next excursion. With fervor sparked by anticipation, she prepared her expedition. 3 local guides, Tarek, Sohail, and Nima, agreed reluctantly to take her within proximity to the rumored location. They were firm, they would not approach closer than a day's trek from the oasis. The tales had been deeply ingrained in them from childhood, eerie stories of people who sought the oasis, drawn in by a supernatural force, never to return. They journeyed for 3 harsh days through relentless sun and stony cliffs, before the guide stopped. "This is as far as we go," Tarek said, his face a grim mask veiling palpable fear. "The rest you traverse at your peril." Marcie hesitated, feeling the weight of their warnings. But her desire for discovery pushed her on. She continued alone, with supplies, her camera, and a small, iron-crafted amulet Tarek insisted she take. It was supposed to ward off evil spirits, a cultural placebo, Marcie figured, but she wore it anyway. Soon after departing from her guides, the desert began to change subtly. The endless sands gave way to sparse vegetation, the air grew inexplicably moist, and a slight, inexplicable chill brushed against her skin despite the scorching sun. Marcie noticed skeletons of small desert creatures, forming a ghastly breadcrumb trail leading forward. By the end of the day, verdant green appeared startlingly against golden sands. She'd found the Oasis of Bones. It was surreal, a vivid patch of life in death's domain. Trees lush with foliage bordered a small pond, crystal clear and inviting. Yet, the banks were grotesquely adorned with bones, some old and bleached white by the sun, others disturbingly fresh, with remnants of sinew and flesh. Captivated by a dreadful awe, Marcie set up her camp at a safe distance. As the sun set, the oasis seemed to hum with a spectral life of its own. Sounds within the grove were heightened, a rustling of leaves, gentle splashes of water, and a soft, melodious whisper seemed to float across the breeze, calling her. Unable to resist, she approached the water. Through her camera's lens, she saw not just the grotesque charm of the oasis, but reflections that should not exist. Faces, human in their form and agonizing in their expression, appeared in the water's surface. Marcie gasped and looked directly into the water, but saw only her own face looking back at her. Nights are never silent in the desert, they are filled with the sounds of creatures thriving in the cool air. But that night, as Marcie tried to sleep, a deep silence enveloped her, so profound that it muffled her thoughts. In her dreams, she walked to the oasis, drawn by those same pained faces pleading for help or perhaps warning her. She dipped her foot into the water, feeling something solid and invitingly warm beneath the surface, unlike the cold she expected. When she jerked back in alarm, hands, pale and cold, shot out of the water, grasping, pulling. Marcie awoke screaming, scrambling away from the imagined touch that seemed too real. Morning revealed footprints in the sand leading from her tent to the water, a single set, hers, stopping at the edge. She had walked in her sleep, led by the dream or perhaps something more sinister. Deciding to leave was easy, but execution was not. As she packed hurriedly, the oasis seemed to come alive with an unsettling vigor. The lush trees rustled though there was no wind, and the serene water rippled violently as if boiling from below. And the whispering became a clear voice, calling her name, dripping with sweet invitation and dark malice. "Marcie, join us." With her heart pulsating against the iron amulet, Marcie ran. She didn't look back, not even when the calls became desperate screams and then cries of agony. She ran through the sands, driven by an instinctual fear until she stumbled back into the arms of her waiting guides. They said nothing, just shared a look of reproof and relief as they led her away from the cursed place. On their way back, Marcie noticed Tarek clutching a similar amulet tightly in his hand. Each guide bore one. It wasn't simply folklore or a placebo, but a shield. Back in the civilization, Marcie's mind reeled. Her pictures showed nothing but a beautiful oasis, tranquil and untouched, with no hint of the macabre or supernatural. Even the faces in the water were gone, reduced to mere refractions of light and shadow. But deep down, she knew the terror was real as the haunting whispers that sometimes reached her in the silence of the night. The Oasis of Bones remained a mystery, hidden and isolated, guarding its spectral inhabitants who thirsted for the living, an enigma that continued to beckon the brave, the foolish, the curious, locking them within its deadly embrace.